Hi, and welcome to our third webinar on SA360 Templates, Driving Campaign Efficiencies and Automation. As the title suggests, today's webinar is going to be diving into everything SA360 Templates, and we're really hoping that by the end of today, you're excited to walk away to try out ways of driving efficiencies and scale throughout your paid search campaigns using SA360. I'm really excited to present our speakers for today. First, we have John, who a lot of you probably know by now through our series. John is a GMP consultant in our US tech team. He joined us this year, and we're really, really excited to have him and have his expertise in the SA360 space. And today I'm really, really excited to introduce our guest speaker, Hannah. Hannah joins us from Google, where she's the SA360 lead. She's been working in digital marketing and SA360 specifically for over 9 years now. She's worked across several verticals, inclusive of automotive, retail, e-commerce, SaaS, and CPG. And she's experienced and participated in the evolution of SA360 and the power that it can bring to advertisers, especially in this fast-paced, data-driven marketing space. So Hannah, I think you're the perfect guest to have today, and thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you. Finally, as most of you probably know as well, I'm Jade Arenstein. I'm the VP of Tech and Data Solutions for Incubeta US. As far as our agenda today, we are going to be covering what templates are. We're going to be looking at some common use cases and ways that they really can support your business. And then John's going to be diving into a really technical and advanced demo where he's going to show us the ins and outs of templates, which for most of you will probably be one of the first times you've seen it, since it is a relatively new feature, and he'll be really diving into that. And then we'll be closing off with a Q&A where we really hope to answer all of your burning questions. But in the question box is where we will receive all of your questions, and those will be the ones we'll be answering at the end. So without any further delay, I'll be handing over to take us through what templates are.
Perfect. So this is a little bit of a heavy slide, but wanted to talk about what templates are and why we usually use them. So templates in SA360, and specifically the new SA360, is a new way to automate the creation and management of campaigns across multiple engine accounts. So what we're doing with templates is merging inventory management and ad builder functionality in order to deliver a streamlined experience to make features more efficient to set up and manage. So what this looks like and what we usually find is if we're doing something that's very repetitive with creating a large amount of campaigns and entities, what we want to do is fully automate that process. So that's where templates comes in. So what we do is we can do this cross-engine and full compatibility by using templates to pre-generate these entities and traffic those entities to each engine account. So why would we want to use templates? What we find is clients that are going to be fully automated, whether that be full volume inventory, that's a little bit more than their team can handle, seasonal promotions that they want to scale efficiently across these ad groups, and also wanting to bring together their product portfolio. So a couple clients that we see to be most useful for this are entertainment companies that need to be across different locations and that need to scale efficiently. And then also occasionally we see across different airlines that want to be making those changes. So there are several use cases that we can apply this for, but those are just a few examples.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm going to dive in now to some of the most common use cases of using templates in SA360, and then we'll look into a live demo where we have a mock templates build, so we can go into the actual product and see some use cases there. But first, when you think of templates, you'll probably think of e-commerce use, right? Where we have a product feed, whether that's running through Google Merchant Center or a partner kind of feed service, and that's then connected to the ad platforms. From there, we can then see, all of our different product SKU data pulling into the platform. Usually, that powers shopping campaigns or performance max campaigns, right? Where it pulls in price, availability, even style information directly into the shopping ad unit. Well, we can actually use the same methodology for creating text campaigns. So all of this that I'm going to be walking through today is specifically around creating text campaigns, ad groups, keywords, and then responsive search ads, even site links from using the same data feed. It's very customizable, and I think before we get into it, we can look at just one example on how it's traditionally used with e-commerce. So a lot of e-commerce advertisers or agencies already have product feeds in place, right? So this is the easiest start. Your feed is already created. and we already have all of that data being updated directly from the site or the client server. So here's an example for e-commerce where the primary goal is to quickly activate text ad coverage that can reflect live product availability, pricing, sizes, gender, whatever it may be, product category that already is being fed into our shopping campaigns, but actually using this for text campaign creation. So filling that real estate below our traditional shopping ad space with text ads. A lot of e-commerce advertisers don't necessarily think this is the main strategy because there's already shopping ad coverage. So there is a bit of an opportunity to serve on that ad space, right below your shopping ads. So for e-commerce specifically, here's an example of a shoe company where they have multiple different kinds of SKUs running into their Google Merchant Center feed or Google Sheets feed or CSV. But we then want to set up a template in SA360, to then power some dynamic text ads without having to really bulk upload these at scale. So we look on the left-hand side here, we have a product feed. And again, this feed can be in many different formats. The easiest one for e-commerce is, again, probably the Google Merchant Center. So we have a few different column headers here. We have product category, where this classifies the type of SKU or product into a unique category. We then have the product name itself, or the item title, color, price, and gender. And these are all updated dynamically right within the feed. We can actually link this directly into SA360 through templates, set up some sort of logic, and then generate out ads and keywords and campaigns. Here, we'll just be showing examples of ad copy, but the same process can be applied to campaign generation, ad group generation, and we'll walk through that in a bit more detail in the future. So we can see here in the middle, we have an SA360 template where we're telling the system for every unique product category, generate us one campaign. So you can see here, there's actually 3 unique product categories in this subset of the feed, right? Running shoes, casual shoes, and sandals. That's 3 unique campaigns that will be generated from this logic. Then within that same hierarchy, let's create one ad group per unique combination of product and color. So you can see here, product and color, there's many different values here, but it'll actually create one unique ad group for each combination nested within that unique product category. So the system understands the hierarchy of how things are going to sit inside of each other. And then within each ad group, so many different ad groups underneath 3 campaigns. Within that, let's create a responsive search ad that uses a mixture of both static and dynamic text. So anything in black coloring here will be static text. Anything in purple would be dynamic, right? So the ad copy template itself would say brand, that'll be the static brand of the advertiser. In every RSA, in each ad group and campaign, let's pull in dynamically gender and product. Moving back to static text, we'll say shop now starting at price, which is another dynamic field. So you can see here how one simple template build can actually result in many different unique, custom tailored ad copy. And it really saves the time from uploading a lot of this manually. So you can see here, one of the ad examples would just be, and again, just one of them would be the brand, which would be static, pulling in directly from the template. And then we could have Women's Revolution 2, shop now starting at $68.99, right? So that would be a unique ad that's created from this template. And then again, we can actually build in to some of the logic, update ad copy on the fly if the price attribute changes. As we know, pricing can change, discounts, promotional periods, whatever it may be. If this is all linked up after it's built, the price will actually update and a new ad will be generated. So all of this can be linked together to then have custom dynamic ads and keywords built that are constantly updated depending on feed availability, pricing, whatever it may be. If something's deleted from the feed, we can also set up logic to say, hey, pause this ad copy, pause this ad group. So this is the most common use case for e-commerce. Let's look at some other industries where, kind of thinking outside the box of how to use this feature. So for B2B, the primary goal for many B2B advertisers is quickly building new campaigns to support new product areas or offerings that come up. A bit more lead gen focused, right? The products aren't as tangible. It's more so we need new campaigns and copy and campaigns to be built on the fly to support maybe new sections of the site that are being added. So here we have some different columns. And this would be built in Google Sheets, right? There wouldn't be a Merchant Center feed here because we don't have product availability. But here we can build a custom feed in Google Sheets and link that to SA360 in the same way a Merchant Center feed would be. So here we have 4 column headers, one for offering category, the next for the solution that we want to advertise. Maybe think of what's added to the website, the challenge area or the problem that we want to solve, and then the launch date. When is this solution or white paper or offering going live? Again, same logic really built into the template, but we can tell it to then build one campaign for each unique offering category. So that's just the column header. Here we'd have 4 individual campaigns, one ad group within each for each solution. So one ad group per campaign here in that case. And then the ad copy, same thing, a mix of static to dynamic text being added together. So you can see the output is actually, here's just one of the examples again. Brand, data-driven insights, tackle organizational change today. And again, that's pulling from a single row. This template would generate 4 unique ads in 4 unique campaigns. And then we can actually build in some logic to the template to say, hey, only go live on launch date. And the launch date attribute can be pulled directly from the feed and kind of set up to dictate when certain things go live and even when they're paused. So you can see how, if you think outside the box a bit, you can actually build your own feed and you use that instead of uploading bulk sheets using AdWords editor. It kind of takes a lot of the manual work out when you think a little bit beyond the e-commerce application. So one more example where we see this used quite a lot, outside of e-commerce is education, right? The primary goal being, let's manage our course offering flight dates and availability dynamically, while ultimately keeping the ads very relevant and helpful to the end consumer. Because the real goal of this is to, influence higher click-through rates, lower CPCs, more tailored ad copy for the user, so that ultimately the user converts when we drive more leads, outside of e-commerce. So again, same thing here, 5 column headers, program, degree, the school, application end, and then enrollment start. So there's actually some flighting nuances here that are important, and we'd love for those to be directly in the ad copy to kind of give users the urgency of when to submit that application, when classes start for the next semester. You can see here, I won't go through it all, but similar logic set up here where campaigns being built with a mix of static and dynamic values, and then the ad copy is then spit out, where you can actually see in the ad copy, apply by December 1st, 2023. So you could imagine if there's a full course load, every school is outlined here for the online college or university, ads can be generated dynamically and even QA'd pretty easily before they go live to then tailor all of this ad copy pretty well. And then we can even build in some additional logic to say, hey, let's pause on application end. We don't want to have these ads in market when the application window is closing. We want to kind of drive that urgency to get the application in to then be prepared for the enrollment start, in this case, a month following the application end. So templates can be applied outside of e-commerce, and at Incubeta, we really see this common in a lot of different industries outside of just e-commerce. So next, we will go into a bit of a demo. So let me pull up one of my windows here, and we'll look through a real live example of what the product looks like in the new SA360 UI, and then some nuances there. So here's the new SA360 UI. Again, this is a transition from the old UI that is being deprecated shortly. And you can see up in the right-hand side, you'll see tools and settings. Here you'll see templates. This is where this product lives in the new UI. Once you click into that, it'll open up 2 screens here, 2 tabs. You'll see templates and then feeds. So the feeds are any of the data connections that are coming in. You can have as many as you'd like, a mixture of different formats, right? So you can have Google Sheets-based feeds, CSV-based feeds, or Merchant Center feeds that are kind of powering your Google Shopping or PMax campaigns. Here's one for Garden Street. You can see here we have kind of a home and garden focused advertiser, but you can see here we have many different feed columns, and all of your feed columns, no matter the format that it's built in, will actually be visible directly in the UI. So if you come up to modify columns, you can see feed columns. All of these can be selected and pulled in and referenced. And again, this is reflective of the live feed. So if anything changes, we can see that directly in the actual UI of SA360. So we'll let that load. And here you can see all of our feed attributes. And this is a traditional, more of a merchant center e-commerce feed, right, for actual products being sold on the website. But again, back to the B2B or education examples, any custom feed columns can be brought in for use. So here we have the typical column headers: product ID or SKU, item title, brand of the product, Google Shopping category, availability, price, etc. Even descriptions are pulling in, right? So we have all this data that's at our disposal to then reference within our templates. So any one of these columns and values in here can be pulled in dynamically to campaigns, ad groups, keywords, or ads. So at this point, this is really the first step of getting started. Let's connect the data, make sure it's relatively clean, because some of these values are going to be used directly in ad copy. We don't want them to be too complicated. For example, we don't want to be pulling in this full description into the ad copy, right? That would flag the ad. So this is the first step. The next step is to really visualize what you want to use this data for. So start thinking through, okay, I have all of these different products, all the brands, which columns am I going to use to start segmenting my campaigns and ad groups? Like, how do I want to build the hierarchy? And you can kind of think, how do my existing search campaigns, my text campaigns, how are they built and segmented? Are they built by brand? Are they built by item or category, whatever it may be? There's product level categories in here that are similar to shopping. So you kind of have to start thinking, and honestly, I find it helpful to honestly draw this out and see how you want to structure some of this. So we have all of our values in here. We then want to go into the templates tab. So I already have some built, and we'll walk through each one together. But you can see here, this is the general flow of building templates. You can see here, there's many different options. Site link, you can even build negative keywords if you want. If that changed on the fly for any reason, or those need to be added or updated, and you've kind of been doing that manually. So all of that is here. So we'll start with just the template plan, or kind of the shell. And this is really what dictates a lot of the inventory that's being filtered into this specific plan. So here we'll just give it a name. This is just an internal friendly name for the UI. We'll pick our client account. So this is the actual ad account: Google Ads, Bing Ads, Baidu, whatever it is. And you can actually set these up to push out to multiple engines at once. So think Bing and Google. We can build one template to then generate campaigns and such out to each different engine at once. It doesn't need to be separate. And that's kind of one of the big updates from the old UI to the new one. In this case, we'll just select one Google Ads account. Our data source, which is already selected and configured, will be the Garden Street Merchant Center feed, which we were just looking at. And then here's a data source filter. So because sometimes the feeds are so massive and we don't necessarily have the ability to control it or edit it ourselves, in some cases, you can actually put in a filter to only look at certain items. So we're only going to look at the column, which was channel. So it's always helpful to have the feed up. We're only going to look at anything that is online, because that's what's available on the site. Anything that's local or not online, we want to filter out. So here we'll just be looking at that. And because this is kind of the plan or the template umbrella, this will apply to everything beneath it. So we can pop out of here. We'll then go into our campaign template. So this is going to be the logic that dictates which campaigns are built and how they're structured. You can see here there's 3 tabs, and these are going to be consistent across all the template builds, which makes it really easy. It's kind of a guided workflow on how to set these up. The first one will always be related to the template itself. So we have our template name, again, just an internal name for the UI. The plan template, so again, this references what we were just looking at. It's kind of the umbrella of the plan itself. Our data source, which is inherited. That's why it's grayed out, again, from the plan. Data source filter, you can see that this is already present from the plan template. So the system understands the hierarchy. You can also apply other filters if you'd like here. Multiplier, we'll get to this in a second, but this is essentially saying which feed columns should we use to create one unique item, right? So this would be, what feed columns do we use to create one unique campaign? This is a new feature, so we can actually set it to use feed columns from the campaign name formula that's defined in a second, and it'll actually understand how to create unique campaigns, and we'll look at that in a second. You can add your labels dynamically. Custom dimensions or business data can be added on the fly. You can even group your campaigns by match type if you'd like. And then here's a status item. So this is essentially saying, what should the template do when entities are no longer found in the data source? And in this case, we're just going to have it pause the campaign if for any reason the row is deleted from the feed, or it's kind of a safeguard in what happens. And we're going to have every campaign created in a pause state, right? Another safeguard. Because this will start firing and generating things dynamically, we just want to have things built as paused, just in case we need to QA it another step. The next screen will be related to what you're all probably more familiar with, is like how to create a campaign either in Google Ads or SA360. It's some of the traditional settings you'll get. So here's where some of the dynamic functionality comes into play. You'll get this builder in a lot of the screens here, where it's using a mixture of static and dynamic text. Anything that's yellow or orange will be static text, and then anything that is dynamic will be green. So you can see here, the campaign name will be US Search Garden Street for every campaign, static text, and then it'll dynamically insert the brand at the end of that name convention. You can see here the system understands that, this is back to the multiplier from the previous step, that there'll be unique campaigns for each brand. And we'll look at that in a second. If you click into this plus, this is where you can pull in any feed columns. So if you go to columns, feed columns, all of the columns from the feed over here are then available in your dropdowns. There's also functions which we'll go over a bit to the end on how to transform some of the data if you need to. Budget, again, this can be dynamic if you like. You can even pull values from the feed. We're just going to do $5 for now. Your networks, your start and end dates, device bit adjustments, locations, languages, even URL templates. So this really gives you the power to, fully generate campaigns at scale without having to do bulk sheets or AdWords editor. You can even apply audiences. So next, on every template, builder flow, you'll actually get a preview. And this is really nice for QAing because you'll want to build everything as paused and just see what the output is before actually setting them live. So this is very helpful, and it's quite responsive too. So you can see here, again, static dynamic text and brands tacked onto the end that are dynamic. So you can see here, we have campaigns being built for every single brand in the feed, and there's over 100. So one simple campaign template is already giving us over 100 campaigns for every brand. So let me jump out of this. And then we'll go into ad group. Again, this will be very similar to the campaign. Won't spend as much time here. This status is actually a bit different here. So you can put in a custom formula to then dictate, when ad groups are paused. So we actually want to pause the ad group when a certain condition is met. So we have a column in the feed called availability. Let's look at that quickly. Availability. You can see some of these actually say not available or available. So any time that something is not available, we want the ad group to be paused. And actually this should say not available, right? So pause ad groups when condition is met. If availability equals not available, pause the ad group. The reason for that is, especially with e-commerce and certain products, things go in and out of stock very frequently. So we don't want to delete the ad group, because what if it comes back in stock later? We just want to pause it and then enable it again. That way all of our history, our metrics will be saved and then just flipped back on when the product comes back in stock. So you can even build in some of this logic to help kind of control what happens to the individual ad groups. Again, similar ad group name, we're just using dynamic values here. Brand, product level 2 with a dash in the middle. So again, that's the orange piece here. CPCs, and then you can see the output. Cool, so it's brand, and then I believe it was product level 2, which was over here. So we're getting unique ad groups within the unique campaigns for each brand and product level 2 combination. So you can see here, hundreds of ad groups already being built by brand, by exact product level 2. And again, those are nested within the campaigns that we were just looking at. So if we jump out, let's go to keywords. Very similar here. We're not going to control the status just because the ad groups are already being paused at that level. And here's where you can actually start building keywords. So there's match type controls. For this, we have every match type. So build one keyword for every single match type. And then this is where we're starting to use some functions. So the feed data isn't necessarily the cleanest. So if we pop back, some of these item titles are quite long and they have weird characters in there like colons, commas, whatever it may be, right? This isn't perfect for a keyword. So you can actually in the feed put in logic to clean them and kind of shorten the keywords if you like. There's tons of different options in here and functions for modifying different texts, concatenate, substituting, trimming, uppercase, lowercase, whatever you have. For this one, we are substituting. And again, it'll give you a walkthrough of how to build these, but we are substituting anything in item title that is a colon with nothing, right? So that's the quote, quote. If we did a space, it would replace any colon with a space. So in this case, we're going to replace any colon with nothing, just to clean out some of those. The next keyword we're going to make is going to be a combination of the brand, space, which is static text, and then the ID, or let's just say the SKU number. Sometimes, especially for e-commerce, customers know what they want and they know the exact SKU number. So let's just pop that in the ad copy and see. Again, it's just an example. You could do CPCs, and then our landing page, let's just set that directly to the URL from the feed, right? Just so the user gets dropped directly on that landing page right here. So a pretty clean user experience. And then if we give it a second to preview, you'll actually see all of those keywords generated here. So we have 3 keywords for each match type. And again, this is just an example, right? This keyword is probably a bit too long, but you can see there was a colon in here. It's now replaced with nothing. And then you have your SKUs popped in as well for different match types. And again, this is for probably in this case, thousands and thousands of keywords. Again, you can trim down your inventory if you like, or only focus on a subset of the feed, but you can see how, I mean, you could have built out hundreds of different keywords here and you'd still get the generation dynamically. And you can stack some of those functions as well. So that's kind of the power of it. And again, you'll get the preview tool to see exactly what's being created. So if we jump out, let's lastly look at the RSA template. Again, similar settings here. And here's where we can really use a lot of the dynamic features to customize exactly what the ad is showing. So we'll have our landing page dropped in the final URL. Display paths. So this will actually be what's tacked onto the vanity URL. So you can even get creative. Like we're going to put in here category level 1 in the display backslash like URL. Here we have a fallback. So this is a very important concept. Because we're creating so many ads at scale, certain items could trigger the character count, right? So if this category level 1 for any reason was longer than, I believe it's 15 characters for the display path, the system's going to throw an error and disapprove the ad, right? When all these are pushed out to Google Ads. So when all this is generated, it goes right to SA360 and right to Google Ads and Bing or whatever. So the ads have to get approved by the system as they would a normal ad. So you can actually build in logic to say, if this is going to trip the character count limit, add a fallback. You always want your fallbacks to be static text, right? It's kind of the safeguard. So if the category level 1 is ever over 15 characters with the substitute function on there, let's just say shop now, right, as a fallback. So you can see here, the ad headlines do something similar. We're going to say brand at Garden Street. Fallback would just be shop today at Garden Street. Static text here, some static text here, and the descriptions are going to be similar, static and dynamic text. So Garden Street is your home for brand, exclamation point. We have product level 2 in stock, right? And it'll only be showing because we have the availability control on the ad groups. The ad group would be paused if it wasn't in stock already. So we can be confident in saying that this product level 2 is in stock. So product level 2 over here. Again, it's helpful to have the feed up when you're doing this. You get your URL options, and then let's see the output on some of these. There's a bit of trial and error with doing this, as you could imagine, because some of the formula building is a bit complex, but this screen is extremely helpful for seeing what's going to be generated before it actually is. So the ads are actually all a bit different. So I think the headline one was brand at Garden Street. You can see here, the first one is actually triggering that fallback. So it's just saying shop now. So the first brand must have been too long. Well, the first brand in combination with the static text was too long. So you can see here, it's actually firing in the description, which is nice. And then you can see the product level also pulling in. And you can see this is different for every single ad. URLs are custom, and then you have your display paths over here as well. So you can see the power of this, of how just setting up some quick templates and kind of narrowing into some of your feed data can actually generate thousands of perfectly tailored ads just by running through some of these settings. So I will jump out. And that's about it. So this would be a build for a group of campaigns and ad groups. Within that, you can also build out multiple different groups of these to focus on different aspects of your feed, or even different feeds into each template, right? So that's all up here under tools and settings. And again, these are all paused. So if I turn this on, it would actually start generating and running. You can see the evaluation time, the generated entities, and then even the error status. So if there are errors for any reason, disapprovals or headlines are too long, or you're not using fallbacks, it'll give you that reporting and you can click right into it. And that was a quick demo of where to find it in the UI. Here's some more just functions on more of the advanced natures on how to transform the inventory data. So if a lot of your feed data is incorrect or messy, you can actually use some of those functions or more advanced ones to change that either in the template. So for the next couple of slides, we're going to be using an entertainment client as the example. So let's imagine that the entertainment client has a bunch of new titles, movies, or shows they need to advertise. And this can just be the output for either the ad copy or the keywords. So here we have the first one, Spider-Man No Way Home. The function here would just be, let's clean that up a bit, just because that's not really ready for ad copy or keywords. So we can use the function clean keyword. Clean keyword is a unique one where the system actually finds any characters that are not supported by Google and then replaces them. So we're going to actually replace all the unsupported characters with a space. So you can see here where replacement string equals space. The quotes indicate open text. So clean keyword in string would just be the header or the value. Replacement string would be the replacement. So now you can see it changes. It gets rid of all the unsupported characters. The next one, The Walking Dead. Let's get rid of the in all of our values here. So substitute, where haystack would be the column header. So let's just say show title. Needle would be the, and the replacement would be nothing. So you can see the, actually space the, and then replacement would be nothing. So you can see here this actually gets transformed into just Walking Dead. Again, very helpful for cleaning a lot of data at once, especially if the feed, you don't really have too much control over it. Last one is just The Godfather in all caps. Let's move that down to title case, so it's correct and showing an ad copy, right? So SA360 has filters built in to help you adjust some of the ad copy a bit better, especially if you're struggling with some of the feed controls or logic. Here's more of an advanced example that we actually do for some clients now, where we can combine a bunch of different functions to really customize the ad copy. So let's say that for the same streaming client, they had another feed that had their different plans for subscription. We have a student plan, a family plan, and a premium plan, all different price points, but we have a sale coming up for November 1st. Let's make some ad copy that speaks directly to the user and has a sense of urgency just by using one RSA template. So here you wouldn't even have to build the campaign templates, ad group templates. It would just be one template referencing one feed. So here we have headline 1, again, static text, shop streaming plans today. Headline 2, sale ends on, we're going to use offset days function that essentially counts outward from the date of the sale. So the sale is going to end, we know, on the 22nd of November. Let's plug in the sale date from the column add 21 days. You can see how that gets shown directly in the ad copy. We then also want to show the price. Plan starting as low as, we can find a minimum price within the feed just with a function. So find my price column, give me the minimum, in this case, $12.99. That's showing in the ad copy. We're not directly advertising a single plan, but we're telling the customer, hey, the lowest price is $12.99. Probably a bit more urgency than showing maybe the highest price. Where then once the user lands on the site, again, directly on the landing page, they can then sort through the different price points. Static text, static text. So you can see here how that ad would look just based on combining a couple advanced functions. And wrapping up, I just want to hit on the point of you don't need your own feed necessarily that exists within your company to run this. You can actually build your own non-retail feed within templates. So if you aren't an e-commerce business, you don't have a feed ready, build your own in Google Sheets, and we can actually help you link that directly with Google and Hannah's team directly to SA360, where we can then pull all those column headers in and do the same thing we would as an e-commerce client. So we have a lot of customers who do this now. Obviously setting up some controls on the Sheets feed, but all of those column headers can then be pulled directly in for use. And just to wrap this up here, a few things to remember for success. Obviously a lot of it's pretty complex, but really 5 things that we find leads to success. One being always build your templates as paused. Don't activate them until you're sure you want the output to be run. 2, always use the preview screen like I was using to then flip back and forth from the builder to the preview to see what the output looks like before it's live. Always use fallback headlines if there's dynamic text. There's also another column in the main UI called template management status. So if you edit the template, the output of the template, any keywords or ads, this will actually be flipped off and it'll be treated as a manually created item. If this is still set as template controlled, it will be linked dynamically. So just be aware of that setting. Again, that's called template management status in the columns. And I think the most important one is it's very complex and kind of daunting to start. So try to envision what you want before you start building. It'll be a bit easier as you walk through. But I think that about does it for the templates walkthrough. I hope you guys all found this pretty helpful, and I'll pass it back over to Jade.
Perfect, thank you. So first question, I'm going to just throw them out there. Fastest finger first between John and Hannah. So first one is, are templates only available in the new UI?
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yes, they're only available within the new UI. And as John mentioned, the old UI will be deprecated pretty soon. So I would highly recommend moving to the new UI as soon as possible, not only because of the deprecation, but also to leverage templates.
And because we have a Googler on the call, I'm going to throw in a subtle brag that Incubeta was the first partner to have all clients upgraded to the new UI. So definitely recommend getting yourself on that. And if you do need assistance with that, please reach out. We can absolutely help you. Next question is, can you use templates directly in Google Ads?
I'll take that. No, I don't think so. That's kind of one of the main value adds for SA360 is getting those dynamic templates created. And then definitely the Google Sheets connection, I think, is big, only for SA360.
Okay, and then on a similar vein, John, while we're on it, can you use templates for Microsoft ads? Guessing no?
Yes.
Oh,
well, through SA360.
Cool. But not directly with Microsoft?
Not directly, no, not directly. So if you have SA360, you can then push these same templates that I was walking through into 2 engines at once, whatever's connected to SA360.
Amazing, cool. If there's any follow-up questions on those so far, drop them in the box. We'll tackle them. But now we have some longer ones. So is there a way to see or automatically apply labels associated to ads generated from templates in Google Ads?
Yes. John went over this within his walkthrough, but yes, absolutely. You can add labels through template settings, and that can be done automatically.
John, and maybe give some insight where in settings, Hannah, where you can find it, or is it just in the templates UI in settings?
Yes, it's within the SA360 UI under template settings that you can apply labels.
Okay, perfect. Next question is there a way to download the list of items that have been flagged with an error or see specifically which campaign is being flagged by an error?
I can take that. When you get the error notification, you can click into it and it links you directly to the templates which are throwing an error and the reason they have an error. I don't think you can download them, but it'll take you directly to the template and you can fix it there, and it'll give you kind of a walkthrough of how directly in the builder UI.
Then we had a very specific question about an error, obviously from someone that has been using templates. I'm going to post the name of the error in the chat so everyone can see what I'm talking about, because English was not going to help in this case. But that's the name of the error in the chat. So what causes the error? Mutate error invalid temp ID value to be flagged. I've seen it a couple of times, usually corrects itself, but I'm curious as to where this is coming from.
I don't know, Hannah. I don't think I've seen that before.
Yes, I can answer that one. So that's a video campaign error due to audience targeting. So if a user is trying to set audience targeting in a standard video campaign, that's when that error message will arise. So as a workaround, you can specify the audience in the Excel file, or you can drop the entire column because it will default to audience segments.
Thank you for that. Next one is there a cheat sheet for the formulae to create the keywords?
Yes, there's some great articles that list all the different formulas, and you can actually search to find ones to kind of accomplish what you want. Reach out to us after, and then I'll send that over to you.
And the next one is, can I duplicate or copy and paste a template within SA360?
I don't know for sure, but my assumption would be yes, because templates are basically a duplicative feature, and that's what we're doing at scale. I would assume that you could, but maybe we circle back on that one.
Perfect. We will follow up in our follow-up email with the answer to that question. The last question is, would you recommend using feeds over custom dimensions to dynamically insert data to the templates?
So there's different use cases, I think, for that. Custom dimensions are great for just ad copy or RSAs, for plugging in data that is tied to specific ad groups, for example, or campaigns that are inherited down. I think that's more of like a lighter version. So if you just wanted to create RSAs, I think custom dimensions would work. But feeds are definitely more slated for, more product availability or, real-time adjustments.
Someone has actually just snuck in one more question. Can templates be used for financial clients? No, you mentioned education, retail, and other verticals.
Yeah, they can be used for any client. I think for the financial use case, I'm thinking maybe new product offerings or new credit card offerings, for example, that are slated into the feed and then dynamically generated new campaigns to support those offerings, kind of like the B2B example we were looking at.
Cool. And then, Hannah, I have a question for you from me, just because of your wide experience across Google and obviously seeing a lot of people upgrade to the new SA360 and use the new UI as well as templates. How much time have you really seen advertisers save from using templates?
Yeah, definitely. From the clients that we work with, they save a pretty sizable amount of time being able to create and manage these automatically. It's tough to put, a specific amount of time that they do save, but if you do have an individual that's entirely spending their time creating these campaigns, especially so quickly and frequently, we do find that it's able to save quite a bit of time for them to be able to fully automate and execute on these campaign entities.
Perfect. And JT, I know you've been heavily involved on our side with templates for our clients. Do you want to maybe share some of the efficiencies that you've seen our clients gain?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely viewed as more of a, let's say, like an efficiency play on making sure that ads and keywords are super relevant to users. So what we usually see is much higher click-through rates, lower CPCs, because there's not as many competitors, in that auction, for example. A primary use case could be for, generating thousands of SKU-oriented keywords, below your shopping listings. A lot of competitors may not have time to generate all of those or may not be using this feature. So we do see pretty strong conversion rates. Although the volume is sometimes a bit lower, some of the traditional, non-brand campaigns, for example, we do see very strong engagement metrics.
Amazing. Great. Thank you so much. So last up in our SA360 series is our final webinar on the Performance Center. We'll be announcing the date for this soon. We're just waiting for the product to be fully baked and for some data to flow in before we can really do a good demo for you guys. But I think this is going to be one of the cooler features in the new SA360 UI, which is already amazing as is. So we're super excited to share this with you. So please keep an eye out for the emails. Everyone that's attended this webinar, watched the webinar, will be receiving that email. And just a final thank you to Hannah for joining us. I know taking time out of a busy day at Google is a lot, so we really, really appreciate it. And it was amazing to have you. If anyone has questions, please email us at gmp.usa@incubeta.com. Pretty impressive amount of people, so thank you all so much, and we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.